The end came not with a massive battle, but with a single, perfectly executed operation that demonstrated the complete tactical superiority of Earth's wilderness warriors. Admiral Zexton had made the fatal decision to establish his personal command center on Earth's surface, believing that his elite bodyguard unit and advanced defensive systems would protect him from human sniper attacks. Master Sergeant Sarah Chen, now coordinating operations across 3 continents, received the mission parameters with grim satisfaction. The alien command center was located in what had once been a shopping mall in suburban Denver, chosen specifically because it was far from any significant wilderness areas. "This is it," Chen announced to her assembled team leaders during their encrypted video conference. "Take out their command structure and this invasion is finished. But we're talking about hitting a hardened target defended by their best troops." The challenge was unlike anything the human snipers had faced before. The alien command center was surrounded by open ground, protected by energy shields and defended by troops who had learned to respect the threat posed by human marksmen. Traditional sniper tactics would be suicide against such a target, but Chen and her team had spent months studying alien technology and tactics. They had noticed patterns in the energy shield coverage, weaknesses in the defensive positioning, and most importantly, they had identified the precise timing of shift changes when the defenses would be momentarily vulnerable. The operation involved over 50 sniper teams positioned in a ring around the target area. Some were hidden in storm drains and abandoned buildings. Others had constructed elaborate hides in parking structures and office buildings. A few had even infiltrated the alien perimeter by posing as local civilians, their ghillie suits modified to look like winter clothing. Captain Rodriguez, positioned in a water tower 800 meters from the target, had the most difficult shot of her career lined up. Through her scope, she could see Admiral Zexton himself standing in the command center's main window, apparently briefing his staff on some new tactical development. "All teams, this is Overwatch," Chen's voice crackled through the encrypted network. "Target is confirmed in position. Wind conditions optimal. Execute in 5, 4, 3, 2, mark." 53 rifles fired simultaneously from 53 different positions around the alien command center. The coordinated volley was timed to arrive at the exact moment when the energy shield cycled for their daily maintenance routine, a vulnerability that Chen's intelligence team had discovered. Through weeks of careful observation, Rodriguez's shot was the most critical. Her .50 caliber armor-piercing round punched through the reinforced window and found Admiral Zexton's center mass, eliminating the alien commander instantly. Around the command center, his staff officers and bodyguards dropped as the coordinated sniper fire swept through their positions like the hand of death itself. In less than 30 seconds, the entire alien command structure on Earth had been decapitated. The remaining scattered units, already demoralized by months of constant losses, found themselves without orders, without leadership, and without any hope of accomplishing their mission. High above Earth's atmosphere, the alien fleets received fragmentary reports of the command center's destruction. High Commander Velox, monitoring the situation from his flagship, watched in disbelief as his ground forces began surrendering or fleeing to their ships. "This is impossible," Velox muttered to his bridge crew. "How can primitive humans with basic weapons destroy our most advanced military operation?" The answer was simple, though the aliens would never fully understand it. Earth's wilderness areas had not been a sign of primitive civilization. They had been training grounds for the most effective asymmetric warfare specialists in the galaxy. The humans had turned their entire planet into a weapon, with every forest, mountain, and swamp serving as both fortress and academy for their deadly defenders. The withdrawal began within hours of Admiral Zexton's death. Alien dropships launched from Earth's surface carrying the survivors of what had once been 3 mighty invasion fleets. Of the original force of over 200,000 soldiers, fewer than 30,000 were returning to space, and many of those were psychological casualties who would never fully recover from their experience facing Earth's snipers. "Master Sergeant," Chen emerged from her hide as the last alien ships disappeared into the sky. Around her, other human defenders were coming out of concealment for the first time in months, their ghillie suits and camouflage finally unnecessary. "Base. This is all units," Chen reported with quiet satisfaction. "Alien forces have completely withdrawn from all theaters. Earth is secure. The response from General Martinez carried 3 months of accumulated relief and pride. Outstanding work, all teams. Mission accomplished. Welcome home. The Galactic Council convened one final time to discuss the Earth situation. The assembled representatives sat in stunned silence as they reviewed the complete tactical analysis of their failed invasion. An entire galactic military operation had been defeated by fewer than 1,000 human snipers, armed with what the aliens still considered primitive weapons. Representative. Forth's crystalline form pulsed with patterns indicating deep confusion. The tactical computers cannot explain this outcome. By all conventional military analysis, this invasion should have succeeded within days. High Commander Velox, his scales showing permanent stress discoloration from the failed campaign, provided the only possible explanation. We made a fundamental error in our assessment of human capabilities. We assumed their wilderness areas indicated primitive development. Instead, those areas were training grounds for warriors unlike any we have previously encountered. Queen Thessic's telepathic voice carried overtones of ancient respect. These humans fight like the legendary shadow hunters of our oldest myths, beings who could kill from impossible distances and vanish without trace. Perhaps such legends were memories of encounters with species like humanity. Director Halvin's mechanical analysis was coldly factual. The humans demonstrated tactical adaptation, environmental integration, and individual initiative at levels our military doctrine cannot counter. They fought not as an army, but as an ecosystem of apex predators defending their territory. The final vote was unanimous. Earth was to be designated as a prohibited zone, off limits to all galactic military operations. The humans had earned something no other species in the galaxy possessed: complete independence through demonstrated military superiority. Back on Earth, Master Sergeant Sarah Chen stood in the Amazon jungle that had been her home and battlefield for 3 months. The canopy was quiet now, no longer concealing deadly snipers waiting for alien targets, but she knew that the wilderness would always be ready, and that Earth's defenders would always be watching. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about humanity. Sometimes the most dangerous civilizations were not the ones with the biggest cities or the most advanced technology. Sometimes they were the ones that never forgot how to be apex predators in their natural environment. The Earth's wilderness areas remained exactly as they had been before the invasion: green, wild and seemingly empty. But now the galaxy knew the truth. Those empty spaces were home to the most effective warriors in known space, and they were always ready to defend their world against any threat foolish enough to challenge them. The invasion was over. Earth had won, and the wilderness warriors who made that victory possible melted back into their forests and mountains. Invisible once again, but forever vigilant. 2 months after the invasion began, the situation had deteriorated beyond Admiral Zexthon's worst nightmares. His forces had been reduced by over 60%, with no significant territorial gains to show for the massive casualties. Worse still, human sniper teams had begun proactive operations, striking at alien positions far from traditional wilderness areas. "Sir, we have another problem," his tactical officer reported with barely concealed terror. "The humans are no longer limiting themselves to defensive operations. Our supply depot outside São Paulo was hit last night by what appears to be a coordinated sniper assault." The holographic display showed the aftermath of the attack. The supposedly secure facility, located in cleared farmland 20 kilometers from the nearest forest, had been systematically destroyed by precision fire from multiple directions. Alien soldiers had been eliminated with single shots to the head or heart, while equipment and supplies had been methodically destroyed with armor-piercing rounds. "How is this possible?" Zexthon demanded. "Our sensors detected no approach routes through the open terrain." What the aliens didn't understand was that the human snipers had evolved beyond their original wilderness-based tactics. Teams like the one led by Master Sergeant David Ghostwalker Kim had learned to adapt their forest skills to urban and agricultural environments, using drainage ditches, abandoned buildings, and even carefully concealed spider holes to achieve the same invisibility they enjoyed in dense jungle. Kim's team had approached the alien depot through a network of irrigation channels, moving underwater for the final 2 kilometers. Their ghillie suits had been modified with local vegetation to blend perfectly with the agricultural landscape. The attack itself had been a masterpiece of precision timing and coordination. Multiple approach routes confirmed, Kim reported to Central Command from his position in an abandoned grain silo. Alien response time to sniper fire is approximately 47 seconds. Plenty of time for displacement and repositioning. The human command structure had adapted as well. General Martinez, coordinating operations from a deep bunker complex, watched satellite feeds showing alien forces huddled in increasingly smaller defensive perimeters. Their original plan to spread out and control territory had been abandoned in favor of concentration and survival. Phase 3 is approved, Martinez announced to his assembled commanders. All sniper teams are authorized to begin psychological operations. Target alien morale directly. The psychological operations were devastating in their simplicity and effectiveness. Rather than simply killing alien soldiers, the snipers began targeting specific individuals in ways designed to maximize terror among the survivors. Communications officers were eliminated just as they reported to command. Medics were shot while treating wounded. Leaders were killed in the middle of giving orders to their troops. Sergeant First Class Lisa Phantom Rodriguez perfected the art of psychological sniping in the Siberian forests. Her targets were carefully chosen for maximum psychological impact. She would eliminate the alien soldier who seemed most confident, or the one others looked to for leadership, always ensuring that multiple witnesses survived to spread fear through their units. The key is making them understand they're being hunted, Rodriguez explained to her spotter as they observed an alien patrol struggling through the snow-covered wilderness. Every shot has to send a message that nowhere is safe, no one is protected. Her shot took out the alien point man just as he raised his hand to signal an all clear. The remaining soldiers immediately went into panic mode, firing randomly into the forest while their leader screamed orders that no one could hear over the chaos. But Rodriguez wasn't finished. She waited precisely 10 minutes for the aliens to calm down and attempt to reorganize, then eliminated their sergeant with a shot that seemed to come from a completely different direction. The psychological effect was immediate. The remaining soldiers abandoned their mission and fled back toward their base, spreading stories of an invisible enemy that could strike at will. These psychological operations had effects far beyond the immediate tactical situation. Alien soldiers began refusing orders to leave fortified positions. Supply runs required increasingly large escorts. Post-critically, communication between units began to break down as personnel responsible for maintaining contact networks became priority targets for human snipers. Admiral Zexton found himself dealing with a phenomenon unknown in galactic warfare: mass psychological breakdown among elite troops. His medical officers reported unprecedented numbers of soldiers suffering from what human psychiatrists would recognize as combat stress reaction and post-traumatic stress disorder. The humans are not just killing our soldiers, reported Dr. Vextel, the fleet's chief medical officer. They are systematically destroying their will to fight. Our troops speak of being watched constantly, of death that comes without warning from impossible distances. In the Australian outback, Master Chief William Bushmaster Thompson demonstrated another evolution in human tactics. His team had learned to use the aliens' own technology against them, capturing communication equipment and learning to interpret their tactical frequencies. Base, this is Bushmaster, Thompson reported from his position in a camouflaged hide built into a termite mound. Intercepted alien communications indicate a supply convoy moving through Grid 7 Alpha. They're discussing route changes due to sniper activity. The intercepted intelligence allowed Thompson's team to set up the perfect ambush. Instead of attacking the convoy on its planned route, they positioned themselves along the safe alternate route the aliens had chosen. The resulting engagement was a complete massacre, with every vehicle destroyed and all personnel eliminated before they could even identify the threat direction. The alien command structure began to realize they were facing something unprecedented in galactic military history. The humans were not just defending their territory, they were actively learning from each engagement, adapting their tactics, and becoming more effective with every battle. High Commander Velox addressed the Galactic Council with scales showing deep stress patterns. The humans appear to possess an ability to evolve tactically in real time. Each engagement teaches them something new about our capabilities, while they reveal nothing of their own methods. Representative Vorth's crystalline form flickered with uncertainty. How can a primitive species demonstrate such tactical sophistication? Our own military doctrine has remained unchanged for millennia. because it represents the optimal application of force. Director Halvin's mechanical analysis was grim. The humans do not fight according to optimal force application theories. They fight according to what they call adaptive asymmetric warfare, constantly changing their methods to exploit any weakness they discover in our operations. The truth was that Earth's wilderness snipers represented the culmination of human military evolution. Unlike the galactic powers, who had developed standardized military doctrines suitable for conquering conventional opponents, humans had been forced to constantly adapt to new challenges, new environments, and new enemies throughout their history. This evolutionary pressure had created warriors who thought creatively, acted independently, and adapted instantly to changing circumstances. While alien soldiers followed predetermined tactical algorithms, human snipers wrote new rules of engagement with every shot they fired. As Earth's third month under siege began, the aliens faced a terrible choice. They could continue the invasion and accept the complete destruction of their forces, or they could acknowledge defeat by a primitive species and face the political consequences within the Galactic Council. Admiral Zexthon stared at his latest casualty reports with growing desperation. 78% of his invasion force had been eliminated, and human sniper activity was actually increasing. Somehow the defenders seemed to be getting stronger rather than weaker as the conflict continued. In hidden bunkers around the world, human commanders prepared for the final phase of their defense plan. The aliens had been softened up by months of constant attrition. Now it was time to show them what Earth's wilderness warriors could accomplish when they went on the offensive. Admiral Zexthon stood in his command center, staring at tactical displays that told a story of complete military failure. 6 weeks had passed since the invasion began, and his forces were being systematically destroyed by an enemy that refused to fight conventionally. The aliens had not advanced a single kilometer into Earth's wilderness areas, and their casualties had climbed past 25,000. "Sir, we're receiving priority communications from all 3 invasion fleets," his communications officer reported nervously. "Ground commanders are requesting permission to withdraw from wilderness operations." "Denied," Zexthon roared, his forearms slamming against his command console. "The Galactic Council will not accept defeat by primitive humans with obsolete weapons. Deploy the Hunter-Killer units." The Hunter-Killer units represented the cream of alien special forces, cybernetically enhanced soldiers equipped with the most advanced detection and weapons systems available. Each unit had successfully eliminated resistance fighters on dozens of conquered worlds. If any force could counter Earth's sniper threat, it would be them. In the Pacific Northwest, Master Chief Rebecca Silent Death Torres received word of the new threat through her encrypted communication network. From her position in an old-growth cedar tree, she could see the alien dropship deploying the Hunter-Killer team in a clearing 2 kilometers away. Through her scope, she studied the new arrivals. Their armor was different, sleeker, with more advanced sensor arrays and what appeared to be active camouflage systems. They moved with professional precision, establishing overlapping fields of observation and using hand signals that suggested actual tactical competence. "Base, this is Silent Death," she whispered into her throat mic. "Alien Special Forces team has deployed in Grid 4-4. Count 12 personnel with enhanced equipment. Recommend extreme caution." General Morrison's voice crackled back from the underground command center. "Copy that, Chief. Intelligence suggests these units have enhanced detection capabilities. Use Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was the response to technologically superior opponents. Maximum range engagement, immediate displacement after shooting, and no direct confrontation under any circumstances. Torres began her withdrawal to a prepared position over 3 kilometers away, where her Barrett M1R27A1 could reach out and touch targets at the very edge of its effective range. The Hunter-Killer team spread out in a search pattern, their enhanced sensors sweeping the forest for any sign of human presence. Their leader, a cybernetically enhanced warrior designated Hunter Prime, analyzed the terrain with cold mechanical precision. "Deployment successful," Hunter Prime reported to the orbiting command ship. "Beginning search pattern Alpha 7. Enhanced thermal imaging detecting residual heat signatures from recent human activity." What Hunter Prime didn't know was that Torres had spent the previous 3 days carefully preparing false heat signatures throughout the forest. using chemical heating pads and reflective materials to create phantom targets. The enhanced sensors that were supposed to give the aliens an advantage were instead leading them into carefully prepared kill zones. Taurus settled into her firing position just as the alien team reached the first false signature. Through her scope, she could see Hunter Prime examining a heating pad hidden in a hollow log, his head perfectly centered in her crosshairs at 200 meters range. The shot was one of the most difficult of her career. At that range, she had to account for wind drift, bullet drop, atmospheric pressure, and the rotation of the Earth itself. The 50 caliber armor-piercing round took nearly 4 seconds to reach its target, during which Taurus was already packing up to move. Hunter Prime's enhanced armor might have been proof against energy weapons, but it offered no protection against a tungsten core projectile traveling at nearly 1,000 meters per second. The alien Special Forces leader simply ceased to exist from the neck up, his body collapsing as his teammates frantically scanned for a threat they couldn't locate. Similar scenes played out across Earth's wilderness areas as the hunter-killer units discovered that enhanced technology was no substitute for intimate knowledge of local terrain and decades of specialized training. In the Amazon, the alien specialists found themselves outmaneuvered by snipers who knew every branch and vine. In the Arctic, they froze to death when human teams sabotaged their heating systems and disappeared into blizzards. The psychological impact of elite units being eliminated by seemingly impossible shots spread throughout the alien forces like a virus. If their best soldiers couldn't survive against Earth snipers, what hope did regular troops have? Captain Maria Santos, operating in the Andes Mountains, demonstrated the futility of technological superiority against environmental expertise. The alien hunter-killer team assigned to her sector had spent 3 days attempting to track her through the thin mountain air, their enhanced sensors detecting nothing but false signatures and empty hiding places. Santos, meanwhile, had been watching them from a position they had declared impossible, a narrow ledge on a cliff face that their tactical computers calculated as inaccessible to human climbers. What their computers didn't know was that Santos had been free climbing in these mountains since childhood. Her body adapted to the altitude and her knowledge of every handhold absolute. From her airy position, she systematically eliminated the alien team one by one as they struggled with the unfamiliar terrain. Their enhanced armor became a liability in the thin air, their advanced weapons useless. Against an enemy they couldn't see or reach, the Galactic Council convened another emergency session as reports of hunter-killer unit failures reached them from across the invasion zones. High Commander Velox's scale patterns had shifted to colors indicating extreme stress. "This is beyond failure," he announced to the assembled representatives. "This is approaching military disaster. Our most elite units are being eliminated as easily as regular soldiers. The humans appear to possess some form of tactical superiority we cannot comprehend." Director Halvin's mechanical voice carried unusual uncertainty. "Our tactical computers have analyzed over 10,000 human sniper engagements. The patterns suggest we are not fighting an army in any conventional sense. We appear to be fighting an entire ecosystem of apex predators." The analogy was more accurate than the alien leadership realized. Earth's wilderness snipers were not just soldiers. They were the product of millions of years of human evolution, refined by thousands of years of hunting and warfare experience. They moved through their environments not as invaders but as integral parts of the ecosystem itself. Queen Thessic's telepathic presence carried overtones of ancient dread. "The humans have turned their entire planet into a weapon against us. Every tree conceals a potential killer, every mountain peak a sniper's nest, every shadow a death trap." Admiral Zexthon, his confidence completely shattered, made a desperate proposal. "Perhaps we should consider orbital bombardment of all wilderness areas. If we cannot defeat the snipers, we can eliminate their habitat." Representative Vorth's crystalline form pulsed with alarm. "Admiral, that would render the planet uninhabitable and destroy the very resources we came to claim. The Council will not approve the destruction of an entire biosphere merely to defeat scattered resistance fighters." The aliens were learning a lesson that human military theorists had understood for centuries, that technological superiority meant nothing if you couldn't bring it to bear against your enemy. The vastness of Earth's wilderness areas and the skill of its defenders had created a situation where the most advanced military forces in the galaxy were being systematically destroyed by weapons and tactics that would have been familiar to hunters from 1,000 years ago. In the growing darkness of another Earth night, hundreds of human snipers settled into their positions, their scopes scanning for new targets, their fingers steady on triggers that had become instruments of planetary defense. The aliens had come expecting an easy conquest, but instead had found themselves trapped in a nightmare of invisible death and endless fear. 3 weeks into what was supposed to be a 72-hour conquest, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The holographic displays showed casualty reports that defied all their tactical projections. Over 15,000 alien soldiers had been eliminated across Earth's wilderness areas, while confirmed human casualties numbered exactly 0. High Commander Velox of the Draconian Fleet paced before the assembled representatives, his scaled hide reflecting his agitation. "This is unprecedented. Our forces report being under constant attack by an enemy that appears to be everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Morale has collapsed among ground units." Admiral Zexthon, his usual arrogance replaced by desperate confusion, manipulated the tactical display. "The humans have turned their primitive wilderness into a weapon against us. Our soldiers report being watched constantly, stalked like prey animals. Many refuse to leave their fortified positions." In the Amazon, Sergeant Chen had expanded her area of operations, now commanding a network of 23 sniper teams spread across 300 square kilometers of jungle. Her ghillie suit had become legendary among the aliens. Several units had reported sightings of the Jungle Ghost, a phantom sniper who could appear anywhere at any time. Through her scope, Chen watched a heavily armored alien patrol attempting to advance along what they believed was a safe route. They moved in a tight formation, energy shields overlapping, scanning constantly for threats. They had learned to fear the jungle, but they hadn't learned enough. Chen's shot came from 700 meters away, angled down from the canopy through a gap in their shield coverage that existed for exactly 3 seconds. The alien commander dropped, and the entire patrol immediately went into defensive mode, forming a circle and firing randomly into the surrounding jungle. By the time they finished their panicked response, Chen was already rappelling down to ground level, using the network of zip lines to reach a position directly behind their formation. Her second shot took out their communications specialist before they even realized the direction of the first attack had changed. The psychological warfare was proving as effective as the physical elimination of troops. Alien soldiers lived in constant fear, knowing that death could come at any moment from any direction. Sleep became impossible, appetite vanished, and many units reported stress-related casualties even without direct sniper contact. In the Canadian Rockies, Master Sergeant Eric Longshot Anderson had claimed his 100th confirmed kill. His specialized .50 caliber rifle, custom-built for extreme long-range precision, had become the stuff of nightmares for alien commanders. Operating from positions over 2 kilometers away, he could eliminate targets that felt completely safe. The aliens had tried everything to counter the sniper threat. Orbital bombardment had only created more hiding places in the rubble. Energy shields were useless against kinetic projectiles fired from beyond their detection range. Thermal imaging failed against ghillie suits specifically designed to defeat such sensors. "Command, this is Longshot," Anderson reported from his position on a remote mountain peak. "Alien supply convoy moving through Grid 77. Request permission to engage." "Granted, Longshot. Make them pay for every meter." The convoy consisted of 12 heavy vehicles and over 60 personnel. Anderson's first shot disabled the lead vehicle's anti-gravity system, causing it to crash and block the narrow mountain pass. His second shot eliminated the convoy commander who was attempting to organize a response. What followed was not a battle but a slaughter. Trapped in the narrow pass with nowhere to run, the aliens could only watch helplessly as their numbers dwindled one by one. Anderson worked with methodical precision, targeting key personnel and equipment while remaining completely invisible to their desperate return fire. Back on the alien command ship, Admiral Zexthon received reports from across the globe that painted an increasingly dire picture. Human snipers were operating in environments from Arctic tundra to tropical rainforest, each adapted perfectly to their local terrain and equipped with weapons optimized for their specific conditions. "Sir," reported his intelligence officer, "we've identified at least 300 active sniper teams across 7 continents. They appear to be operating with perfect coordination despite being spread across vast distances. How is this possible? Zexthon demanded. Our communications intercepts show no tactical chatter, no command structure visible to our sensors. What the aliens didn't understand was that Earth's wilderness warriors operated on principles older than electronic communication. Hand signals, trail markers, and codes that had been developed over centuries of warfare in these same environments. The humans were fighting a connected campaign without centralized command, each team autonomous but working toward common objectives. In the African savannah, Captain Amara Okafor demonstrated this principle perfectly. Her team of 4 snipers had spent the last week systematically eliminating an alien research outpost, never communicating electronically but coordinating their actions through subtle signs that would be invisible to alien observers. From her position in a baobab tree, Okafor could see the latest alien reinforcement attempting to reach the embattled outpost. The convoy was traveling by night, thinking darkness would provide protection from human attacks. They had no understanding that many of Earth's most dangerous predators hunted best in the dark. Her night vision scope turned the African night into a green-tinted killing field. The first shot disabled the convoy's lead vehicle, standard procedure for creating a traffic jam. The second and third shots eliminated the troops attempting to dismount and establish a perimeter. By dawn, the convoy was nothing but scattered wreckage and alien bodies. Okafor and her team had vanished into the vast savannah, leaving no trace of their presence except for the evidence of their deadly effectiveness. The Galactic Council was beginning to understand the magnitude of their error. Earth's wilderness areas were not empty spaces waiting to be conquered. They were the carefully maintained hunting grounds of apex predators. The humans had spent millennia learning to survive and thrive in these environments, developing skills that no amount of advanced technology could replicate. Representative Vorth's crystalline form flickered with stress patterns as she addressed the emergency session. The cost of this operation has already exceeded our projections for the entire conquest. At current casualty rates, we will lose our entire invasion force before securing a single major objective. Queen Thessic's telepathic voice carried overtones of ancient fear. These humans fight like the legendary shadow hunters of Proxima, warriors who could kill from impossible distances and vanish without trace. We thought such beings were mere legend. The truth was becoming undeniable. The Galactic Council had not invaded a primitive world defended by backward savages. They had attacked the home territory of the most dangerous wilderness fighters in the galaxy, warriors who turned every tree, rock, and shadow into a potential weapon, and the humans were just getting started. The second wave of alien reinforcements arrived at dawn, and Admiral Zexthon himself descended in his command vessel to take personal control of the failing operation. His 4 arms worked frantically at his holographic command interface as reports streamed in from multiple fronts across Earth's wilderness areas. "This is impossible," Zexthon snarled at his tactical officer. "How can primitive humans armed with chemical weapons be causing such devastation to our forces? We've lost over 800 soldiers across all theaters and we haven't even seen the enemy." Lieutenant Korthax, his exoskeleton scarred from a near-miss sniper shot the previous day, pulled up the tactical display. "Admiral, they're not fighting like any military force we've encountered. They strike from extreme range, always from elevated positions, and they seem to know our every movement before we make it." Meanwhile, high in the Rockies, Captain James Ghost Morrison lay prone behind a carefully constructed rock blind, his M40A5 trained on an alien patrol moving through the valley below. The mountain environment was his specialty, and the thin air that challenged the invaders' breathing apparatus was like home to him. Through his scope, he watched the aliens struggle with the altitude and difficult terrain. Their heavy armor, so intimidating in space, was proving to be a liability in Earth's varied environments. Morrison had been tracking this particular patrol for 3 hours, noting their movement patterns and identifying the squad leader by his different equipment configuration. "Mountain Team Alpha to base," Morrison whispered into his radio. "Alien Patrol Delta 7 is following the predicted route through Devil's Canyon. They'll be in the kill zone in 15 minutes. Below in the operations bunker, Colonel Reynolds studied the 3-dimensional tactical map showing sniper positions across multiple mountain ranges. Red dots marked alien forces, blue dots showed human sniper teams, and green lines traced the carefully planned fields of fire that turned every valley into a potential killing ground. "Copy that." "Ghost, Lightning and Thunder teams are in position for coordinated strikes. Wait for my signal. Morrison's shot, when it came, was a thing of beauty. The .308 round traveled over 1,200 meters through the thin mountain air before finding its target. The alien squad leader dropped instantly, his plasma rifle clattering down the rocky slope. Before his body had even settled, 2 more shots rang out from different positions as the other sniper teams engaged. The surviving aliens fired wildly at the mountain faces, their plasma bolts creating impressive light shows but hitting nothing but empty rock. By the time they managed to organize a response, the snipers had already displaced to new positions, using a network of caves and hidden paths that had been prepared for exactly this scenario. In the swamplands of Louisiana, Master Chief Patricia Gator Williams moved through chest-deep water with barely a ripple. Her wetsuit was designed to blend perfectly with the murky swamp environment, and her breathing apparatus allowed her to remain submerged for extended periods. The alien amphibious assault unit had made the mistake of thinking that their energy weapons would give them an advantage in the waterlogged terrain. They hadn't counted on facing an enemy who had grown up in these bayous, who knew every channel and sandbar like the back of her hand. Williams rose from the water like some primordial predator, her suppressed HK-416 already trained on the alien point man. The subsonic ammunition made barely a splash as it found its target, and she was back under the murky water before the body hit the surface. The psychological impact on the alien forces was becoming impossible to ignore. Soldiers who had conquered dozens of worlds were now jumping at shadows, afraid to move through any terrain that offered concealment to a sniper. Their advanced sensors could detect energy signatures and metal objects, but proved useless against humans using organic camouflage and positioned at extreme ranges. Back in his command vessel, Admiral Zexton received a priority transmission from the Galactic Council. Representative Vorth's crystalline form appeared in the hologram, no longer amused. Admiral, we are receiving disturbing reports from your operation. How can a primitive species be causing such difficulties for our superior forces? Zexton's mandibles clicked nervously. Honored Representative, these humans fight unlike any species we have previously encountered. They do not mass their forces for conventional battle. Instead, they employ individual warriors who strike from concealment at extreme ranges. Explain these extreme ranges, Vorth demanded. Some attacks have come from distances exceeding 2,000 meters. Their chemical projectile weapons appear to be far more accurate than our intelligence suggested. Additionally, they seem to possess an intimate knowledge of their terrain that allows them to predict our movements and prepare ambush positions. Queen Thessic's telepathic voice joined the conversation, carrying notes of concern. Our combat algorithms assumed these humans would fight conventionally, massing their forces to defend population centers. This individual warfare is proving difficult to counter. The truth was becoming clear to military analysts across the galaxy. Earth's wilderness areas were not signs of a primitive civilization. They were training grounds. For millennia, humans had been honing their skills in these environments, learning to move unseen through forest and mountain, to strike without warning from impossible distances, and to vanish like smoke when pursuit came. Every Earth culture had contributed to this deadly art. The Native American trackers, who could follow a trail invisible to others. The Finnish snipers who had held off entire armies in their frozen forests. The Australian bushmen who could survive for weeks in the harshest terrain. The Scottish Highlanders who turned every hill and glen into a fortress. These skills, passed down through generations and refined by modern military training, had created the most effective wilderness fighters the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens' superior technology meant nothing when they couldn't find targets to use it against. As night fell across multiple continents, the human snipers continued their deadly work. Each shot was carefully planned, each kill calculated to maximize psychological impact. The alien invasion forces, designed to crush conventional armies through superior firepower and numbers, found themselves facing an enemy that refused to fight conventionally. The wilderness that the Galactic Council had dismissed as a sign of primitive weakness was proving to be humanity's greatest strength. And the killing had only just begun. Master Sergeant Sarah Chen crouched motionless in the dense Amazon canopy, her ghillie suit making her invisible against the moss-covered branch. 300 meters below, the alien dropships had been landing for the past 6 hours, disgorging thousands of insectoid soldiers in gleaming armor. Through her scope, she watched the Korthak forces establish their forward base with mechanical precision. Their plasma weapons hummed with energy, and their armored forms moved with overconfident swagger. They had chosen to land in what their orbital scans had designated as uninhabited wilderness, never suspecting that some of Earth's deadliest defenders called this green hell home. "Overwatch to all units," Chen whispered into her throat mic, the encrypted transmission bouncing through a network of hidden relay stations buried throughout the jungle. "Count approximately 4,000 hostiles establishing FOB Delta 7. Recommend we give them a proper Amazon welcome." The response came from Corporal Martinez, hidden somewhere in the understory 2 kilometers away. "Copy that, Sarge. Been watching them for 3 hours. These bugs don't know the first thing about jungle warfare. They're making enough noise to wake the dead and leaving enough sign to track them from orbit." Lieutenant Colonel Jackson's voice crackled through from the command bunker deep underground. "All sniper teams, you are weapons free. Operation Thornbush is now active. Show these invaders what happens when they mess with Earth's green spaces." Chen smiled grimly as she adjusted her position. The aliens had made a critical tactical error by dismissing Earth's wilderness as useless terrain. They had no understanding that for thousands of years, humans had been perfecting the art of warfare in dense jungle environments. Vietnam, the Amazon conflicts, the Congo campaigns, all had taught humanity valuable lessons about turning thick vegetation into a killing field. The first target presented itself as a Korthak officer stepped away from the main group, apparently conducting a perimeter inspection. Chen steadied her breathing, feeling her heartbeat slow as she entered the meditative state that all master snipers knew. One shot, one kill, the unofficial motto that had guided her through 15 years of special operations. The custom .338 Lapua round left her rifle with barely a whisper, the suppressor reducing the signature to nothing more than a gentle cough, lost in the jungle sounds. 300 meters away, the alien officer's head simply disappeared in a spray of green ichor, his body collapsing without even a death cry. Chen was already moving before the body hit the ground, using the network of rope bridges and zip lines that her team had installed throughout the canopy months ago when intelligence first suggested an alien threat was imminent. By the time confused alien soldiers reached their fallen officer, she was already in a new position 400 meters away. "Tango down," she reported simply, watching through her scope as the aliens frantically scanned the jungle around them. Their thermal imaging and energy scanners were useless against ghillie suits designed specifically to defeat such technology. The psychological effect was immediate and devastating. The overconfident aliens suddenly realized they were in hostile territory with an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't track, and couldn't fight with conventional tactics. Their formation tightened defensively, weapons raised and energy shields activated. From his position near a muddy stream, Corporal Davis had a perfect sightline on a group of 6 aliens setting up what appeared to be a communications array. His Barrett M82 was overkill for single targets, but the .50 caliber armor-piercing rounds punched through alien energy shields like they were made of paper. The first round took out the communications equipment in a shower of sparks and alien cursing. The second and third rounds eliminated 2 soldiers before they could even identify the threat direction. By the time Davis fired his 4th shot, he was already sliding down into the stream bed, using the water to mask his thermal signature as he moved to his backup position. The jungle itself seemed to come alive with deadly intent. Sniper shots came from impossible angles, always from long range, always perfectly placed, and always followed by nothing but silence and empty forest when the aliens tried to respond. The invaders' superior technology meant nothing when they couldn't locate targets that struck like ghosts and vanished like morning mist. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, operating from a platform built into the crown of a massive Brazil nut tree, methodically eliminated alien specialists, medics, communications operators, and heavy weapons crews. His suppressed M24 spoke with quiet authority, each shot carefully planned to maximize chaos and confusion among the enemy ranks. The aliens tried to adapt, sending out patrol teams to locate the snipers. These patrols were met by Specialist Thompson and her team of survival experts, who had turned the jungle floor into a maze of deadly traps. Punji stakes made from alien-resistant metals, pressure plates connected to hidden explosive charges, and snares that would drag unwary soldiers into carefully prepared kill zones. As the sun began to set, painting the jungle in deep shadows and blood-red light, The alien forward base was in complete disarray. They had lost over 200 soldiers to an enemy they hadn't even seen clearly. Their confident advance into Earth's wilderness had turned into a nightmare of invisible death and constant fear. Admiral Zexathon's voice crackled through their communications from orbit, demanding status reports and explanations for the unexpected resistance. The ground commanders could only report that they were under attack by an unknown number of enemies using primitive projectile weapons and unconventional tactics. What they didn't understand was that they had walked into the domain of Earth's apex predators, humans who had spent their lives learning to hunt and kill in the planet's most challenging environments. The jungle wasn't just terrain to these soldiers. It was home, ally, and weapon all rolled into one. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with anticipation as Admiral Zexthon of the Korthak Empire stood before the assembled representatives. His forearms gestured dramatically at the holographic display showing a small blue planet in the outer rim of the galaxy. Esteemed council members, Zexthon's voice carried across the vast chamber, I present to you the planet designated as Earth, a primitive world inhabited by a species calling themselves humans. Our intelligence reports suggest they have barely achieved basic space travel and possess only the most rudimentary weapons technology. The council members exchanged amused glances. Representative Vorth of the Crystalline Collective chimed in with a crystalline laugh. Admiral, surely you jest. What threat could such primitives pose to our mighty fleets? Zexthon's mandibles clicked in what passed for a smile among his species. Indeed, honored Vorth. These humans are so backward that large portions of their planet remain covered in what they call wilderness. Dense forests, jungles, and untamed lands where they refuse to build proper cities or military installations. They actually preserve these areas, claiming they are important for their ecosystem. The chamber erupted in laughter. The concept was absurd to the galactic powers, who had long ago converted every available inch of their worlds into industrial or military complexes. Their armies, Zexthon continued, are scattered in small groups across these wilderness areas. They call them ranger units and special forces, but our scans show they possess no heavy armor, no energy shields, and their weapons are still projectile-based. Chemical propellants and metal slugs, if you can imagine such primitiveness. High Commander Velox of the Draconian Fleet leaned forward in his hovering command chair. What are their numbers, Admiral? Laughably small, Zexthon replied, manipulating the hologram to show Earth's military distribution. Their total military force across the entire planet numbers only in the millions. Compare this to our combined fleets of billions of warriors, each equipped with plasma weapons, energy shields, and powered armor. A single one of our soldiers could theoretically eliminate dozens of these humans. The insectoid Queen Thessic spoke with her telepathic voice resonating in every mind present. Their technology appears to be centuries behind ours. Are we certain they even pose enough of a challenge to be worth conquering? Admiral Zexthon's confidence was absolute. My queen, while they may be primitive, their planet possesses vast quantities of rare minerals, and their biosphere could be converted into productive farmland once we clear away their ridiculous wilderness preserves. The conquest will be simple, a matter of days at most. Director Halvin of the Synthetic Collective processed the data through his mechanical mind. Our tactical computers calculate a 99.97% probability of total victory within 72 hours of initial engagement. The humans' scattered deployment in wilderness areas actually works to our advantage. They cannot form cohesive defensive lines. The room filled with confident murmurs as the various species discussed the easy victory ahead. Earth would be just another conquest in their expanding empires, its primitive defenders swept aside like insects. There is one curious detail, Zexthon added almost as an afterthought. Human military doctrine appears to emphasize something they call guerrilla warfare and asymmetric tactics. Our analysts believe this is simply a fancy term for cowardly hit-and-run attacks. Nothing our superior technology and numbers cannot handle. Representative Vorth's crystalline form shimmered with amusement. How quaint that they would try to make their weakness sound strategic. These humans will learn the futility of hiding in their forests when our orbital bombardment systems reduce their precious wilderness to ash. The Council voted unanimously to proceed with the invasion. 3 massive fleets would approach Earth from different vectors, overwhelming the planet's minimal space defenses before deploying ground forces To secure major population centers, the wilderness areas would be ignored initially. After all, what could a few scattered humans with primitive weapons accomplish against the might of galactic civilization? As the council session ended, Admiral Zexthon was already planning the victory celebration. In his mind, Earth would fall so quickly that they would barely have time to deploy their full invasion force. The humans' attachment to their wilderness would prove to be their greatest weakness, leaving their military spread thin and unable to mount any meaningful resistance. The date was set. In 30 standard galactic days, the combined fleets would arrive at Earth. The planet's population of 8 billion humans would either surrender immediately or be eliminated. Either outcome was acceptable to the Galactic Council. What none of them knew was that Earth's wilderness areas were not the weakness they appeared to be. Hidden in those forests, jungles, mountains, and swamplands were some of the most dangerous and skilled warriors the galaxy had ever produced. Men and women who had learned to become one with their environment, who could kill silently from impossible distances, and who had spent their entire lives preparing for exactly this kind of asymmetric warfare. The Galactic Council had made their first and most fatal error. They had underestimated not just human technology, but human adaptability, creativity, and the deadly effectiveness of warriors who fought to protect their home.